The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to our KrauseCAST Webinar series. My name is Amy Beecham and I'm the Communications Director here at Krause Financial Services. Today I'm excited to welcome a very special guest onto the series, Jim Blake of Bambiz Marketing. First and foremost, we want to thank Jim for coming on today's webinar. Next, be sure to type any questions you may have during the presentation into the questions section of the GoToWebinar toolbar. Additionally, a copy of today's PowerPoint can be found in the handouts section of the toolbar. We also invite you to take a short survey at the end of the webinar to let us know how we're doing. Lastly, a recording of this webinar will be available later this week through your Attorney Access account on our website. If you haven't already created your Attorney Access account, it's quick, easy, and free to sign up. Just head to medicaidannuity.com/join. That's medicaidannuity.com/join. Now, Jim has a lot of exciting information to discuss with you all today, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him. Jim, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy, for having me on here. I'm excited to get this going. I'm going to get right into it because I've ran through this presentation multiple times, and it's a lot of information in a short amount of time. So when we started planning this presentation, it was back at the beginning of April, and we thought, hey, by doing this presentation towards the end of July, things will be quote unquote normal again, right? And we'll be able to talk about getting people to attend live workshops again. And people are doing those, by the way, but it's kind of changed a little bit. So how to use online and in-person workshops to get more paying clients. I've kind of shifted it a little bit for you today to let's just get some more paying clients in today's ever-changing world. And we're going to talk about different ways that you can market your elder law practice to get more clients, as things are shifting back and forth every single day. So who am I? Why should you listen to me, right? And I've been doing sales and marketing for lots of different industries for over 13 years. And my wife, a lot of you might know her, Andrea Blake. She's worked for companies like Elder Council and the Heckerling Institute. And I met a lot of awesome elder law and estate planning attorneys through her. And I realized by talking to them and helping them market their practices that these principles that we've learned in the automotive industry and healthcare industry and fitness industry, they apply to elder law by making some little tweaks and shifts. We work exclusively with elder law firms all over the United States, and we help elder law firms get more clients by building relationships, which is the key for your practice to have success with marketing, is by building those relationships. You might have seen us. We go to a lot of trade shows when those were back up and running, like the NALA conferences, State Bar, Elder Law chapters. So you might have seen us there, but let's go ahead and jump on into today's presentation. Enough about me. So today's goals, let's go over 3 things. Where are your future clients? How can you attract their attention? And what can you do right now, today, this week, to get you more paying clients at your firm? As a gift for watching this, I like to provide valuable gifts for people that are taking time out of their day to attend these type of webinars. I'm going to give you our webinar follow-up scripts that we typically give our clients. We've created these because a lot of clients were doing webinars and then kind of crossing their fingers and hoping that people signed up as a client or to sign up for their consultation. So these are the best practices that we've seen. It's exact templates word for word. There are 5 voicemail scripts, 5 email scripts, 5 text message scripts, and a 14-day schedule. So when somebody watches your webinar, this is what you do. This is when you do it. And it's the most important part of your marketing is the follow-up. And we're going to cover a lot of that today. But a download link will be provided for you at the end of this presentation for you to access those. And those are our gift to you.
Hey, Jim, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah.
It looks like we're not moving through the PowerPoint slides. Would you try restarting the PowerPoint? Perfect. It looks like we can. So, Jim, if you don't mind, I'm going to control the PowerPoint on my end, and you can continue to go ahead and talk, and I will follow along.
Awesome. Sorry about that. It was looking good on my end, so we'll jump right back in. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide there. Perfect. So a lot of you, when you're watching these presentations, you're doing multitasking. So make sure you grab a pen, you take notes, get ready to, write down some questions, close out windows. It's going to be action-packed. presentation for you. So we're going to move on. And you can go ahead and switch it right there. It's a quick slide. Imagine a time when you're building your practice, you're hosting multiple live events, you're doing workshops every single month, you're active in your community, you're being invited to speak at events at nursing homes and with financial advisors, and you're having multiple face-to-face meetings every single day. And it's business as usual. That was only 4 to 5 months ago, right? The challenges that we had back then, I'm sure that you would be more than happy to have those challenges now to go back to that time. But now, if we move to the next slide, we're facing a lot of new issues, right? So the world has changed. There's lockdowns, masks, there's quarantine, your monthly revenue is uncertain. You're doing your consultations with FaceTime and Zoom. You're teaching a lot of your clients like how to use those particular tools, and you're doing drive-by signings. So there's a lot of opportunity for elder law and estate planning firms out there, but it's a whole new world that we're in. Go ahead and switch the slide there. But you can still prosper, help your community. They need you now more than ever, and here's why. So people are thinking about home care, nursing home, finances, health, protecting the assets that they have and their family. Those are all the items that you can help them with right now, and people are thinking about them as we speak. So your goal is to find these people in your community. And how can you do that? So these are the 3 things that most firms that we talk to are doing to get in front of people in their community. The first being Google Ads. And Google Ads are for people that are actively looking for an elder law or an estate planning attorney based off of what they're actually searching for. Depending on the market, those ads can be very expensive, and sometimes even there's some foul play there with like maybe competitors clicking on your ads so that you're spending the clicks. And so they can be good or bad depending on the market, but those are for people that are actively searching for what you have to offer. The other option being search engine optimization. It's a long game. It works, but it's not going to get you clients today or this week. You can't expect immediate results, and that's if you find a really good company that can do that for you. It's going to take at least 6 months for that to start working, and that's with the good companies. And then there's Facebook, where if you do it wrong, we like to call it donating money to Mark Zuckerberg, because a lot of firms that we work with are like, I've tried Facebook ads, they don't work. And after we dig deep into what they were doing, we find out that the ads that they're actually creating are not working, or if they are getting quote unquote leads for the firm, they're maybe an inexpensive lead, but it's not a qualified lead. So we're going to talk about how to get the leads that you're getting from Facebook to get those leads to become qualified leads so that you can actually help somebody. Move on to the next slide. Facebook, let's talk more about Facebook. Around 7 in 10 adults in the United States are using Facebook every single day. Of those, 74% are visiting every day. And then Facebook is actually your target market. 68% of people between 50 and 64, and 50% of people over 65 are using Facebook. And around 4 in 10 of adults in the United States are actually getting their news from Facebook, which is what you're seeing all the time now. And I'm getting this information from the Pew Research Center, so it's not just quotes that I've made up, but think about your family and your friends, and how they're using Facebook, right? If your family and your friends are on there, more than likely your potential clients are using it as well. So when they're on Facebook, they're not necessarily looking for an elder law or estate planning attorney, right? So have you ever thought about something and then you go online and then you see an ad for that particular thing? That's what we're doing and what you should be doing when you're using Facebook as a tool for your marketing. You should be showing up in qualified people's feeds when they're on. They're scrolling, they're reading, they're watching, and then your message pops up right in front of them. So I wanted to talk and give you a real life example. So here's Martha, and we wanted to talk about how she uses the internet. So she's got grandkids, she's got kids, she's got grandkids, and she's scrolling online looking at pictures of all of them because she's basically trapped at her house, and that's what her mode of entertainment is. She doesn't even realize an ad pops up, but then she sees one of your firm ads and reads it, interacts with it, looks at it, clicks it, and because she's qualified, she sees it and she puts her name, her phone number information, and you're able to help her. So how do you capture their attention? Well, you need to interrupt their patterns. You need to talk about topics that actually matter to them. You don't want to come off too polished. You want to provide help, not services, and you want to get them to take action immediately. So one of those I want to touch on is coming off too polished. Some firms we've worked with before have hired big companies to come in and make beautiful videos and things like that. And when people are online and they're scrolling, right, you got to think about even your own activity when you're online. You're scrolling quickly, you're reading things that jump out to you. You want to be one of those things that jump out. So the more polished the actual ad or the marketing looks, the more it blends in the background and people don't actually see it or interact with it, even though they're qualified, because it just passes right by them. So how do you build real relationships with new potential clients that you've never met in person? What we want to talk about are these 4 things. The first being automation. If somebody clicks on your ad, they give you their contact information, they consume the material that you've provided them, you want to start working on building a relationship with that person. So what we do with clients that use us for the email side of it is when somebody downloads an ebook or they register for a webinar or they attend a live event, they register for that. For the next 5 days, they're going to send out to that person information that builds the relationship. So the first email looks like, it explains like who I am, what I do, why I do what I do, things that I help people with that they probably had no idea that I could help them with, and then a call to action. So now that you know more about me and what I do, I'd like to learn more about you and your unique situation. Come on in for that next step. So over the course of those 5 days, as those emails are being sent out, by the time the person actually meets with you for the consultation or attends your event or whatever that is, they already feel like they know you, they know your story, they know why you're helping them, and they feel like they have a relationship with you even though that they've never met you in person before. You can do retargeting. So if somebody downloads a ebook, for example, you can retarget them with something that says, hey, I know you downloaded my ebook. I'd love to share with you this recorded presentation or this live event. Here's where you can go to register for that. Phone calls and follow-up. This is the most important part of all of the marketing. No matter what you're doing, you need to get, as soon as possible, your staff on the phone with these contacts to schedule the next step. Ideally, that's going to be within minutes or within the hour of them opting into your materials. And I know that's hard for a lot of firms to wrap their arms around, but that's what you need to be doing to end up making your marketing dollars work for you the best that they possibly can. So get your staff on the phone as fast as you can, follow up with people till they either do that next thing, which is typically the ask some questions, do the consultation, or they tell you that they are not interested, you can take them off the list. Stories. Tell stories. Real life examples. Stories are what's going to get somebody to relate to you and then take that next step with you. Telling them about the education that you have or teaching them is not what we've seen working best for firms. By telling stories about a family that you've helped, how you've avoided them from spending all their money at the nursing home and kind of telling them what happens after the fact, that's what's going to get people to relate to you and they're going to move forward. And then testimonials, video or text. I was going to share, and I will share, a good example of how you can really get some testimonials based off of a real life example that actually I went through today. So last week, I actually traveled for the first time during all of this coronavirus stuff and went to Tennessee. We stayed at a hotel and it was awesome. I mean, it was very clean. The staff was amazing. Everything was, from the cafes to the staff to the room, it was awesome. I'm like, I wish that hotels would have been like this all the time before. And so after I got back home, I got an email from the hotel and they said, hey, would you mind taking a survey about your experience at the hotel? So I went through and I took that survey because I had such a great experience at that hotel. And today, I get an email from the hotel saying, thank you so much for taking the time to fill out that survey. Would you mind going on to places like TripAdvisor and sharing your experience with others so that they can, come visit us and have the same experience that you had? And that's what you need to be doing for your firm. And I really like this example because to get some testimonials, what if you just created a survey and you sent that out to people, everybody, and you learned about their experience with your firm? And those that actually had a great experience from your firm, you send them the links so that they can create Yelp reviews or Google reviews or whatever, right? And that way you can build your online reviews from people that had a great experience through the survey, right? And then the people that had maybe an issue or something that maybe you wouldn't have wanted them to write in a review, they've addressed that in the survey. You're able to reach out and address that with them and fix that situation with them from the survey, and then hopefully get them to leave their positive reviews once you've fixed that and addressed their needs. So that was a great example. I just wanted to share that with you to start building your testimonials. Use those for your website. Use those to get more reviews. Add those to your social platforms and share those with your community, because if I'm going to go search for an elder law attorney and I see two people in my community, one has 20 reviews, one has 0 reviews, I'll probably call the 20 review one first, right? And that's a great way to start building those up for your firm. Go ahead, next slide. So what's the number one reason why many qualified consultations go unscheduled? So the people that you're working with or you're talking to have no idea that the consultation is the next step. So you need to clearly tell somebody when they're talking with you, if they've attended a webinar or an in-person event or they downloaded material, that like the next step logically is for you to ask us questions and see if we can help you. And so if you're doing a workshop, a webinar or in-person workshop, you need to pre-frame that audience with that. Obviously we're going to tell you some stories, we're going to teach you a lot of things today, but what's most important is to address the issues of why you came to this event or why you're attending this webinar. And what we want to do is make sure we address those for you. So, the next logical step is for us to set up a time where we can answer those questions, any questions you have, see if a consultation is the right next step, and then schedule that for you so we can help you in your unique situation. And then you start your presentation off however you would start that off. Building in time to schedule consultations at live workshops is probably the biggest game changer I've seen for attorneys that implement that. And by doing that, basically you're starting the presentation off by letting them know that halfway through the presentation, you're going to actually take time to walk around and make sure that you schedule everybody's consultation. And you explain to that at the beginning of the presentation that you're doing that because in other events, you've noticed that there's an awkward exit, right? There's people that are leaving that they're kind of sneaking out the back, or there's a line of people or people that want to sign up aren't signing up because they're shy. And so you want to avoid that. So what you do is you build that into the presentation about 20 minutes before it would normally end. You stop, you get those scheduled, then you start back up, you tell another story, you do some Q&A, and you get as many consultations out of that workshop as you possibly can. And that, like I said, no awkward exits. And then sell the follow-up. The biggest issue we've seen so far from attorneys, especially those that have been doing live in-person events and now they're switching over to webinars to fill that need in the meantime, is that they're trying to do their regular workshop on a webinar. It's not going to work because people's attention spans are short. They're doing multitasking. After the webinar is over, they're going to walk their dog. It's just a totally different world than an in-person event. So when you're doing the webinar is a sales tool for you to get them into the consultation. We've seen the best results with a webinar about 20 to maximum 40 minutes webinar. And during that webinar, it's basically some storytelling. Tell a story, tell them about the importance of setting up the consultation, tell a story, sell the importance of the consultation, pump them up, let them know that you're so excited to talk with them about their situation, that a lot of people are having a lot of things going on right now in their lives, and you're ready to help them. And just really be excited about that next step. And so at the end of the webinar, they know that your team's going to be reaching out to them to set up that consultation, to address their questions and see if it's a good match for both of you. Direct mail. A lot of people have been using direct mail. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide. It's not as effective anymore because people are used to getting those postcards in the mail. They know it's an advertising message from an attorney or a financial advisor or whoever they're getting invited to the workshop for. They get a mailbox full of invitations. Printing these, designing these, and mailing these are very expensive. There's tons of competition, and for online events right now, it's not ideal. You're not going to mail somebody a postcard to have them sign up for your webinar to watch your webinar. I mean, you could do it, but you better reach somebody where they're, somebody that's familiar with the internet's already on the internet, so you don't want to get somebody with a postcard to watch your webinar. So what's the solution to that? We'll go to the next slide here. Is to catch people where they least expect it. You don't want your marketing message to feel like an ad. So you have a picture here of two seniors, and they're on their iPads, and they're scrolling. With the direct mail, they know they get the postcard, they know it's an ad, and they either throw it away, most of them throw it away, or some of them will sign up, right? With online, they're looking at pictures of their family, their friends, their dogs, their communities, and then they see your ad, right? And they don't even really know it's an ad for the most part. They just see you, a friendly helper, right in the middle of that mix, right sandwiched between a picture of a cat and their grandkids at the beach. And so they click it, they're interested because they're targeted, and then they make a decision if they want to watch your event, download your materials, or attend in person. The biggest marketing mistake we see a lot of attorneys make with their advertising budget, we'll go to the next slide here and I'll show you an example. This one I actually screenshotted last week, is paying for ads that direct people to your website or to do nothing. And so if you're on here and this is your ad, I blocked out all the information that would tell somebody who this is. But this ad I got targeted with when I was in Tennessee. This firm's in California, by the way. So that's not good. And I've never been to their website before, so it's not like it was a retargeting ad. And even if it was a retargeting ad, it's still, you should only retarget the ad in the area that you serve. You shouldn't retarget the area in Tennessee. But you click on this ad, it doesn't really tell them any pain points, what they're helping other than legacy, and then it takes them to their website. And then once I realized it was a California and I'm in Tennessee, it didn't make much sense and I X'd out. But they're probably paying a lot of money for these ads, and they're probably getting little to no results from them because they're crossing their fingers and hoping that the person that sees the ad clicks the ad and then takes initiative on their own for that next step. You're hoping and praying that somebody calls you based off of an ad. It's using stock images, the wrong targeting, and the expectation is that somebody's going to take their own initiative, which that's not the case. So what's the solution to this? You want to send people to pages or events where they can simply enter their contact information to get more information about that particular ad. So when we're doing this, you want to start with like a pain point. So if we were giving away a guide and we wanted to qualify people that had a loved one in a nursing home, you might start something with, do you have a loved one in a nursing home, right? And so you would start the ad with a pain point that if they didn't have a loved one in a nursing home, then this wouldn't apply to them. Or maybe you start with something like, do you want to learn how to protect your home and savings from the high cost of nursing home care, right? And so if they don't want to do that, they don't have a home, they don't have savings, and they don't really care about nursing home care, then they're not going to obviously be interested in that information, right? So they're qualifying themselves. We're using targeting data like they would for quote unquote direct mail, but we're also targeting them with the ad copy as well by addressing the pain that they're currently experiencing and providing a solution for them, which is the material that's going to be provided by them in that ad. We're not going to go wide, we're going to go deep with that particular information. So they click on that ad about if they have a loved one in a nursing home, and then we provide them with a guide or an ebook that gives them some tips about Medicaid planning, for example. Or if they want to learn how to protect their home and savings from the high cost of nursing home care, they can click that link and they can sign up for your webinar. They can sign up to attend your live workshop, but you're not giving them any other options. You're letting them qualify themselves, you're capturing their information, and then you're following up with those people. And that's really the only kind of ad that's going to be working right now to get you business like now, right? To get you business today. Because the other stuff, it might be good like to have your firm name out there and like people just see it, but like at the end of the day, you want more business to be engaging you all the time, and this is how you're going to do that. So how not to sound like a salesperson when talking to potential clients. This is an issue that we find a lot with the estate planning and the elder law firms that we're working with, is that they're talking with them with legal jargon. So typically, nobody's come to be taught the law, and then they end up being confused. You want to speak like you're talking to a room full of middle school students, and that goes for your ads, that goes for your writing, that goes for your landing page or your registration pages, that goes for your follow-up, that goes for the people that are getting on the phone to follow up with those particular people. You want to relate to them. Honestly, we even have software that we use when we're writing ads that we run through all of the copy that we're writing, so all the words that we're writing, so that we understand the grade level that we're working with. And we typically like to have the grade level to be about 6th grade or less. And that's because people are scrolling so fast. It needs to be easy to read, easy to consume, and understand so they can click it. If they don't understand it or they don't get it, they're not going to click it. And if they don't click it, they never can work with you because they pass it right by. You want to talk about why, not the how. That goes back to the stories, teaching everybody about how you helped other people so that they can relate to those stories, and then smile. You'd be surprised. A smile goes a long way. I'm smiling right now. You probably can't see me. I know you can't see me, but you want to smile when you're talking with people, even if it's over the phone. They can tell, and it goes a long way. So what can you do today, right now, to get more clients? And we're going to run through these. There's the 3 options that we've been kind of going over. We have the webinars, we have live in-person workshops, and we have educational materials like ebooks and guides and PDFs that get you qualified leads coming through. We'll go ahead and talk about webinars first. So webinars, we've got 2 types of webinars that have been the most popular. One being the live webinar, which is Thursday night, 6 p.m. Log in to our Zoom, our GoToWebinar, whatever software you're using for a live presentation. And then we have on-demand webinars, which is a recorded presentation that's played 24/7. So you put your name, your email address, your phone number in it, the person clicks the button and your presentation starts playing right away. Like I talked about earlier, the goal of these webinars is not to do your live presentation on a webinar, it's to sell the consultation. They've already qualified themselves by clicking on the ad, by signing up for it, and being there. So now your job is to get on the phone with them, answer their questions, and get them into the consultation. For us to market an on-demand or, let's go back one slide. For us to market an on-demand or a live webinar is the same. But I wanted to go over a couple different issues and benefits of both of those platforms so you can make an educated decision on either one of those options. The live webinars, just like this webinar we're on, right? At the beginning of it, you couldn't see my slides. There was a technical issue. That's a problem, right? And so now you have a problem on your live webinar and you become like an IT support specialist. Sometimes we are targeting an older demographic of people, right? So you have a 70-year-old or an 80-year-old that wants to access your presentation, has never used GoToWebinar or Zoom. They're confused. Now they're upset and they're not having a good user experience with your event, which automatically puts you a couple steps back, right? And also, just like a live event, not everybody's going to attend. I think there was, almost 150 or 200 people signed up for this. There's 62 of you on here right now. So not everybody that signs up shows up. With an on-demand presentation, at least everybody that put their name, their phone number, their email, and pressed the button to watch it saw some of your presentation. And so you can assume when you're making your follow-ups with those people that they're seeing your presentation or at least a part of your presentation no matter what. So that's something to think about. Get 100% of all of them with an on-demand, or you're getting 50% or less sometimes with the live webinar. Some of the costs that we've seen for webinars, on-demand presentations right now, and webinars in general, you're typically looking to get for about $25 to $40 a household to sign up for your webinar. So you can say somewhere around $30 for a household to put their name, their phone number, their email address, request for you to reach out and follow up with them. That's typically what we've seen. And like I said, avoid the mistake of doing an online version of your live event. Go ahead and move on. Live in-person workshops. So just to be clear, right, we have lots of clients that have started these back up. And obviously, we need to follow a lot of new social distancing guidelines. My wife actually put together a video talking about this. It's on our YouTube channel, so feel free to search Bambiz Marketing on YouTube and look at that if that's something that you're interested in. They're working well in select markets. Right now, we're doing, as of today, live events in Montana, Georgia, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. So Those are all the markets right this second that we're doing live in-person elder law and estate planning workshops again. Now, with that being said, 4 months ago when we were doing these like normal, it was about, for an elder law presentation, for about every $30 to $35 in ads, we got a household to sign up for a workshop. Right now, depending on the market, we've seen it as low as $18 a household to sign up for one of your in-person workshops, and as high as $210 to sign up for one of your workshops. So the range is all over the place, and obviously that's going to depend on how comfortable people are in each market to sign up for these events. Now, obviously, even if you're spending $210 a household to get people into the workshop, and you get a couple of really good cases out of there, it's worth it, right? And then what we've also seen is that even though the lead cost might be higher right now, it's all relative, because higher than what, right? But the people that show up for these events are high quality action takers. And so your close rate to getting people into consultation and retain clients from the people that actually show up has been much higher, because if they're willing to go out, be in a group of people, and come to these events, they're obviously ready to do something with their estate plan or with their planning in general. And then educational materials. Some people don't like presentations. Some people don't like doing live events. Some people don't like being on video, and that's okay. There's still an option for you. So what we've been doing is we've been providing lead generation campaigns, and that means we're providing guides like top 10 things to look out for if you have a loved one that goes into a nursing home, 5 elements of a foolproof estate plan. And some of the attorneys that we're working with, they've written their own materials like ebooks and stuff like that. And so what we do is we package those up into something that we can give away to their target, and people download those. The cost we've seen for that is as little as $3 to $4 for some guides, and for some of the ones that are more targeted and specific, like do you have a loved one in a nursing home right now? Download this guide for some Medicaid planning. That is going to be maybe a little bit more. I think those were like $18 a lead, but it's a numbers game, right? The average cost for somebody to download an ebook or a guide is probably around $6 to $7 to do so. And then you're just going to build your list. You're going to follow up with those people, and then over time, you'll get a lot of those people turning into consultations or directing them into other parts of your firm. We'll go ahead and move on. So what should you choose? Test your capacity. That's going to be what's going to be key. How many leads can your firm address in a particular month, right? We have some firms that spend as little as $300 a month on ads. We have some firms that spend over $15,000 a month on ads. We don't get paid by how much you spend in ads, but you need to, obviously $15,000 in ads is going to get you a lot more leads than 300. The average is probably somewhere around, $2,000 to $5,000 in ads. It's up to you on what you want to spend, depending on how many leads you want to get in there. And we would work with you on that, but you just come up with a budget, and then once you see your lead cost come through that first month, you can scale or up or down depending on what you need. Go ahead and move on. So the goal is always to target the right people at the right time with the right message and get them to take action now. And so I think I did a good job. I got it right into 30 minutes, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. And here is the link for you to jump on, download the webinar follow-up scripts. Again, that's 5 emails, 5 voicemail scripts, and 5 text message scripts with a schedule of 14 days. So you can literally, if you're doing webinars or you're thinking about doing webinars or anything like that, use these if you don't have a follow-up plan, and you'll watch your numbers exponentially go up as far as the number of people that watch it turn into consultation. And then if this is something that you've been considering doing, this is private offer, so please don't share this link with anybody that's not out on this presentation, but we'd love to help you do that. And for $397, what we would do is market an on-demand or one of those guide download campaigns for you for 30 days. Or if you choose to do a live event, meaning in person, or a live webinar with a specific date and time, we'll market one of those events for you for that cost. And then the only additional cost would be for the ads themselves, which, like I said, we don't get compensated on. So check that out if that's something you're interested in. We'd be happy to help. Otherwise, I'll leave it up to the Q&A and love to answer some questions that you guys have. You can move on to the next slide. There we go.
All right, so we got a couple questions to get through here. The first question, now, how long does it take to get a marketing campaign up and running?
Right. So once we, like, if we're doing it for you, if it's an on-demand presentation or it's like an ebook or a guide download, once we have all the materials we need from you, it's about 3 business days. It's up and running. So you're getting clients within a few days.
All right, next question. How many times should we be following up with someone?
Oh, my biggest thing right now is when we're getting pushback from firms that say, like, I don't want to follow up with the leads, or we followed up one time and I got a voicemail, or I sent an email and a phone call and no one responded, right? They're opting in when they request your materials, so if they're signing up for your webinars or they're downloading your materials or whatever they're doing. So using that script is a good example, regardless of what it is. I would be following up with them until they either told me, please never contact me again, I'm not interested, or eventually you will get them on the phone and then you can have that conversation with them. So I never stop following up until they tell us to. But I think that 14-day, as long as you're doing it on that schedule, that's a great place for a lot of firms to start.
Okay, next question. What do you think of Facebook Live or just posting to our Facebook's firm page?
Facebook Live and posting to your Facebook's firm page, it's not going to get your message out to new qualified people. And so what does that mean? That means that only the people that are going to see that are going to be a small percentage of the people that actually like your Facebook firm page. So to get business now, you're not going to see too much of a result on that. I mean, over time, if you were doing Facebook Lives for every week, multiple times for months and months, you'll start to see traction build and maybe one will go quote unquote viral. But as far as getting business now, I would say, like, the goal is just so when people come to your Facebook page, they see that your Facebook page is active. So they don't want to see that you haven't posted in a year, right? They want 1 or 2 or 3 posts a week, and that's pretty much all you really need to be doing.
All right, next question. Do you recommend investing more in ads or SEO?
It depends on the long-term goal. I would probably say, like, it just depends on your budget. It honestly depends on your budget. If you wanted, like, I need to get 30 people every month into my firm, then I would say you need to be doing like a webinar or you need to be doing a live event. And you'll know that, like, with what we're doing in our past, let's say it's $30 to get somebody to watch your webinar. So for $900, I can get 30 people signed up for my webinar. If it's an on-demand, everybody at least watched it. We're seeing about 30% of the people that actually sign up turn into consultations. Was that 9 people or so that you'd get a consultation out of, and then of those 9 people, if you got 4 of them to become a client, and it cost you $900 in ads, is that worth it? I'd say yes, that is, all day long, every day. So that's what I would do to kind of get the ball rolling. And as the revenue in the firm goes up, I'd start looking more at SEO. Well, you have to be real, and we're not even doing it anymore, but the SEO stuff, you need to make sure that the firm that you're working with for your SEO is doing a good job, because there's multiple types of SEO out there. And some of them are really, really good. Those will probably be the ones that are more expensive. And some of them are just a waste of money. And if, like I said, we're not doing it anymore because it's hard to explain. For us to do it right, it's very expensive. So if you have anybody that you're ever talking to about SEO and you feel like, hey, let's run this by somebody that's not biased, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to let you know if you're going to be spending your money on something that's actually going to work or not. But I'd say quick results, ads. Long game, SEO is good as well. I would build my revenues with ads and then let that go into SEO.
All right, another question here. What are your thoughts on allowing webinar attendees to unmute themselves and ask questions throughout a live webinar?
Oh yeah, no, I think there should definitely be a time at the end of the webinar, if you're doing a live webinar, to have Q&A just like we're doing now. Yeah, if you feel comfortable having them unmute themselves and do that, or they can, I know some software lets them raise their hand and that type of thing, definitely do that, because the more interaction that you can get throughout the presentation, the better the presentation will be.
All right, we're coming up on about 45 minutes here. One of the questions that actually came in was just, can you repeat what the offer entails for this link here. Just so everyone knows, I did send that link out into the chat feature as well, so you can just head to that page right now if you wanted. But Jim, can you just describe it one more time?
Yeah. So basically what we are doing is we're just going to say, hey, if you want to try this stuff out at your firm, we'd be happy to do so. It's a one-time $397 fee. That's what would be for us to do the marketing. And it would cover you to do 30 days. So, and it doesn't need to be like 30 days starting today. Like if you buy it, we'll give you 3 months to use it. And then once you start, what we'll do is we'll mark it like a guide download or an ebook or an on-demand workshop. So something that's running all the time for 30 days. Or if you don't want to do that and you want to do a live in-person event or you want to do a live webinar, we'll market a single one of those events for you. So if it's a live event, that would mean one location, one date. And if it's a live webinar, that would mean like one date, one time. And we'll market that for you, because those are different, because it takes us about 2 weeks, 2 to 2.5 weeks to fill the event for you. And then you run the event. So, and then like I said, if you have any questions about it, you can feel free to reach out to us. And this will be good for you guys here for the next 24 hours or so.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Jim. We did have a couple additional questions come in. I will get those over to Jim. Also had a couple of people asking for follow-up. Don't worry, I will get Jim all that information for you. So again, thank you, Jim, for sharing this information with us today. Thank you to everyone for joining us and for bearing with us through the little glitch at the beginning. I hope you all have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.